Awesome. This is just my second time using StreamYard, so.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about the browser, so I had to download Chrome and all that.
Oh, no worry. I mean, the same thing. I use Safari. Like, everyone makes fun of me, but I always use Safari. So
Yeah, that's what I use. I got
yeah,
all Macs, so
yeah, me too. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
you're
That's
welcome.
awesome. Yeah. So for everyone else, welcome. And this is Shayne Logan. He is the designer of the Old School Tactical series and many other series. But since we're focusing on Flying Pig games, we're going to stick with the Old School Tactical series. I'm going to be asking him some questions about design, Old School Tactical series, and so we're going to be seeing some behind the scenes, never before seen stuff for Old School Tactical Volume 5. So I'm really excited about that.
Good.
Yeah. So I have to ask, since you're from Canada, how do you feel about Nickelback?
They're not my band.
They're not your band.
No.
Did you see that documentary that came out recently? I know you said you don't listen to them.
Oh no, I haven't. Actually, I don't know a lot about Nickelback other than hearing a few of their songs on the radio over and over and over. But no.
Yeah. I just thought they came out with that documentary, and then I was like, I got to ask Shayne what he thinks, because I feel like so many Canadians are so, I mean, I love Nickelback, but, they're proud of their artists who come out of Canada. So.
Well, my Canadian band has always been Rush, so.
I almost asked you about Rush. I love Rush. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, we watched, have you seen Trailer Park Boys?
Oh, I've seen it years back. I don't know if it's still on anymore or if it's all reruns.
Yeah, it's like reruns on Netflix, but my fiance and I obsessively got into it last year. We dressed up as Ricky and Julian for Halloween. And then that got me back into Rush after watching that. So have you always been from Ontario, or have you been from another part of Canada?
No, always Ontario, Southern Ontario, down by, just on the North Shore of Lake Erie, basically.
Nice. I have some family in Erie. So when I met you at WBC a while ago, did you drive down to Southern?
Yeah. I met you at WBC the one time, and also at Origins the one time.
At Origins, yeah.
Yeah, we drove to both. It was about I think about an 8-hour drive or so.
Well, that's not too bad. You can do that in a day.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, awesome. Well, speaking of being Canadian, we had many people, Canadians specifically, email us, me, about For the Empire and OSTV4. And I mean, how much of you being Canadian influenced you to choose that setting for this iteration of the Old School Tactical series?
Well, yeah, I had to get the British and Commonwealth into the system, and of course, being Canadian, we learned all about the Canadian battles in school growing up and everything. So I definitely wanted to see the Canadians put in there. And Italy's a theater that doesn't get a lot of coverage, so I thought I'd use that since the Canadians were there, and that's really where they got a lot of their introduction to combat and stuff in World War II. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, it's a beautiful game. I've played some of it by myself, and it's a lot of fun to play. So I love I think Old School Tactical Volume 2 was the second Flying Pig game I ever learned how to play. The first was again, but then I did Volume 2, and my friends and I used to work at a brewery when I was in graduate school, and we would open up Volume 2 on this loading dock that we had, and my friends were just we got to drink for free, so we would just bring beers and out to the loading dock and play Volume 2. So that was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I wanted to, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Old School Tactical series, I wanted to share my screen and show you guys a couple images from the games. So Shayne, feel free to jump in and talk about any of these images. I have some questions prepped for you.
Okay.
I'm not putting you on the spot or anything, but I wanted to show people who haven't seen the game. This is from obviously Volume 1 with that really beautiful winter map.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this game is also very heavy. Every time I sell it at cons, people always comment on how heavy the game is because it has those 2 maps.
Yeah. Actually, that one has the 2 maps in the box, so it'd be heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first game, and it was actually done in GIMP before I got Photoshop and all that. So the very first game was all done with GIMP software.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a free software package if people are just starting out.
Yeah. Well, so what is it about designing a tactical level game that appeals to you?
I always like the tactical games because there's not a lot of handcuffs on the players. Like normally when you go up in scale, you got to worry about, well, is it historical because like Germans have to lose, the Allies have to win, and there's constraints put on all kinds of the game. Whereas on a tactical level, anything can happen for either side, and you don't have to constrain or bump up anything. It's just anything can happen. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Here, let me go ahead and pop up another image that I have here. Like I said, this is my second time doing this, so I'm not super fast. Here we go. So yeah, like you do all of the art. For those of you who don't know, Shayne does all the art for the games in addition to designing them, which is just extremely impressive. And as you can see from the art that I've shown you, the background of this art is volume 3, I think Hellbent, right? Or just volume 3. But either way, you can see how detailed this art is, and it's really awesome. So for you, do you enjoy more one than the other, like creating the art or the design process?
Well, art's very important. I think I enjoy the art maybe a little bit more, but it's definitely the first thing I get a feel for each game, and I find that the art has to be good, and it helps being immersive in the game, I think.
Oh, totally. Got to tell the story while you're playing.
Yeah. So I think the art is very important, especially on a tactical level. It's not just blobs of green and blobs of brown. It actually looks nice. So
yeah, you can see the people's faces, and
yeah,
that's awesome. Here, let me see. I have another window. Here we have, so like I said, the background I have is from volume 3. So that tank I just showed you guys was from volume 2. This is from For the Empire, the expansion for Old School Tactical volume 4. I love these kind of ruins that you have here.
Yeah. I first used those in that Stalingrad map.
Yeah, I have a picture of that too. That's a really popular game and awesome.
Yeah, I like doing those ruins, and like for the volume 4, of course, you had all the battles in Monte Cassino, and then the Canadians in Ortona. So there's a lot of ruins, a lot of debris and stuff like that. So I used the majority of that map, maybe half of that map with the ruins on it for those scenarios, and it works pretty good.
And those are Christmas time battles, right? If I remember correctly.
Ortona, yeah, right at Christmas. So
nice. That'll be a Christmas game for my dad and I. Awesome. Yeah, these are great, great images. So what I also wanted to do, let me see if I had one more I wanted to share for this. So what I want to do actually now is move on and show you guys some stats that I have, because I know you guys love stats, and so do I. So I've been showing you guys this, everyone on the channel, this image for a while now, these stats I've been keeping for Kickstarters. And this one is down here is by funding. And you can see, like, this is proof that the Old School Tactical series is one of our most popular series. You know, the Rock of Chickamauga just beat a bunch of our records. It's been awesome. We actually had a comment from someone saying, hopefully Old School Tactical Volume 5 will beat the 12 minutes. So that'll be awesome. But as you can see, I mean, this is like proof that it's an extremely popular series and it does really well. So I wanted to show you guys that. Yeah.
Well, I think mine funded in 18 minutes. So I'm going to have to do better next time, I guess.
I mean, yeah, 18 is not too shabby, though, I have to say. Especially since these, I mean, and if you go to chronological, I mean, Volume 1 was one of the first games that we put out. And I mean, it still did really well, even early on in our company. So I wanted to show you. I don't know if you've probably looked at yourself on Board Game Geek before, or at least your games, but not only are they funding really well on Kickstarter, I have a monitor over here, so I'm looking, but I mean, just look at these ratings. So for those of you who aren't familiar with this Old School Tactical series, I mean, these are really high ratings. I think Old School Tactical Volume 4 is, close to 9. Oh, that's Americans at Anzio. Let me see. Yeah, 9. So, I mean, you have to be, that's pretty flattering for you.
Yeah, I appreciate when people take the time to give me ratings, especially with comments. And I always I'm happy they're high, and I'm happy the game's accepted and played by a lot of people.
Yeah, that's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, for sure. I check that stuff all the time. Even if somebody gives me like a crappy rating, I still read it and see what games they like. I kind of ghost their profile to see what games they like, and like maybe my game's not their type at all or whatever. So
oh yeah,
I do check out the bad ones.
yeah. I think we all kind of do. So obviously this is very flattering. If you could describe the Old School Tactical series in 3 words, what would be your 3 words?
I don't know. Easy to play, maybe.
Easy to play. I would agree with that. Yeah. Easy to play. Oh, those are your 3. So I was going for 3 descriptive words.
Oh, 3 different words? Okay. What's the word? I would say easy, immersive, and challenging. Like, I think the scenarios can go, there's so much variability built into the scenarios that you want to replay them again and again. Like, it's going to be different all the time, right?
Yeah. I remember one time playing and the crew popped out of the tank, and which doesn't always happen. Wait, you have to like roll a 6 or something for that to happen. And I just remember they like went on to like, they did. I mean, I was like, they kept going for a little while, and I just felt so invested in their story. I was like, this tank. Yeah. I'm like, what's going to happen to them the rest of
Well, that's what's great about tactical games. You get such a good narrative. Like, everybody has games where something just happens. Like, I remember playing a game in the Stalingrad map, and I called in an artillery strike or whatever. And the guy who was playing, he's in all these ruined buildings, and he survived the artillery strike, but then it just started collapsing all the buildings on top of him. And we still talk about that now. Like, it's just, there's a lot of good stories and narratives come out of playing tactical games.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, that's really all we make is tactical right now, but maybe we'll have some other levels come out in the future. So my fiance actually had a question last night. I was talking to him about what I was going to ask you, and he said he wanted you to pick 3 board games. Okay, but hold on, there's more to it. 1 board game you have to pick to play with a child, like age 10. And I think you have kids, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you
older now, not really kids, but
yeah, but you've been through the process. So if you could pick 3 games, 1 to play with a child that's age 10 or so, 1 to play with Mark H. Walker, my dad, and then 1 to play against AI for the fate of the world. What would you choose for each of those 3?
With a kid, I'm not sure. Trying to think back.
Yeah.
The game with a kid, I'm thinking back to my childhood, was probably we played a lot of probably like the Game of Life. I don't know if you've heard that. That was kind of a cool game. And yeah, we always had games growing up because there was 4 of us kids, and we'd always get parents would always let us open a present on Christmas Eve, and it was always a game like Don't Break the Ice or something like that, and just to keep us busy for the night. So played a lot of games as kids, but our kids growing up, they didn't play a lot of board games. They were more into video games by then.
Yeah.
And so the game I'd play with your dad would probably be one of his, probably the Long Road.
Oh yeah.
I haven't played it, but I'd like to learn that system and play it with him. Yeah. It'd be good. Especially the supernatural stuff. I think that's very creative.
I do too. I know some people have mixed feelings about it, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it's actually one of the best parts of it. Is like, how
Oh
do you
yeah, for sure.
create zombies fighting like armored vehicles, or I mean, all those things.
Yeah. Well, I like the asymmetry of it would be quite cool.
Mhm.
And play a game against the fate of the world.
You got to play AI for the fate of the world. What would you play?
Rock, paper, scissors. He's
Why?
got no hands, right? So I'd win.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I guess those robots are coming out pretty soon, right? They say. That's awesome. Cool. So let's see. I wanted to move on to, I'm going to remove this. So one of my favorite things about the Old School Tactical series is the impulse point system.
Sure. Yeah.
I like the randomization. I like the completely unknown. Some of it's kind of chaotic. At the same time, some people have kind of criticized that a little bit, that there's like a little bit too much variation. I just wanted to hear you respond to that criticism that, one side might have a couple points, another one has 12 or 14,
Yeah. Well, I think that you got to have some kind of chaos built into a system about war. Like that's what it is. Like you can't have every guy gets to move, every unit gets to move, every unit gets to fire. It just doesn't. It's not realistic in the least. I don't think so. Sometimes you get a lot less, and I think that's when it's funnest. I think. Like if you guy you're playing against has got a lot, and you've got like half of the number of points, you gotta choose to use them wisely. Like I think that's the best part of it. I think it brings chaos into the system, but it doesn't limit what you can do. It's just your decisions, what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hinder your actual units or anything. It just makes your decisions more important.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think, like you said, it like adds some realism to the game.
Yeah. I don't think everybody can have everything they want to do. It doesn't seem realistic to me.
Yeah.
And some people complain about it for sure, but I think they're just used to games that let you do, like you say, like I said, let you do everything you want to do.
Yeah. I felt like, especially as someone who, like, I love war games. I wouldn't consider myself a grognard, but I like I love war games. To me, that mechanism felt very familiar, especially from someone who played like other tabletop styles. There was just, I remember learning that like a long time ago and being like, oh, these are just like action points. Like you just spin.
Yeah, basically.
Thing. And I just remember like when I teach it to people who are non-war gamers, but who might play other types of games, I think they also agree that that's kind of what makes it feel accessible, is like, it's just like a tangible way to be like, this is what you have. And,
And the decisions are still in the player's hands, right? So that's what works well with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. So I wanted to go ahead and share one more thing. It's been my theme for this. Let's see, here we go. So for those of you who are have not heard the Old School Tactical series, or you're interested in, I have a little bit more information about some other stuff if you already know about the Old School Tactical series. If you go to the Flying Pig website and you go to shop, on the left-hand side, I have the games organized by genre. If you go to World War II and then Old School Tactical, I have all of the Old School Tactical games and accessories listed here. So for those of you who are interested in that, and you can click on it by volume. So the first volume is the East Front, and then we have Western Front, and then we have Pacific Theater, and then Italy. And I'm going to have Shayne talk about Old School Tactical Volume 5 in just a second. I just wanted to show you guys where you can actually find these games on our website. And if you wanted to just browse, if you've never heard of it before, we've sold out of a few of these games, which is awesome. So we're actually going to be reprinting 2 of them coming up. We're going to be reprinting Old School Tactical Volume 1, 2nd edition. And we're also going to be reprinting Stalingrad, which Shayne mentioned earlier in this interview. And I wanted to show you guys a picture of those really, really beautiful urban map. Here it is. Here's an action shot from there. Is there anything you want to add to that, Shayne?
Well, I liked when I designed that map and started playing on it, how the map kind of almost forced like historical play that you read about. Like there's not a lot of long line of sight alleys or anything like that. So a lot of the fighting is in close and a lot of assaults and stuff like that. So the map kind of forces a lot of historical play, I found. So I thought that was a cool.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You can even just see it from this action shot.
Yeah, there's a lot of tight battles we had playing on that map.
Yeah. So I have a question. This just came to me, and it might be dumb, but as you're creating the art, how are you scaling that with the hexes? Like, how do you like create the art and then just kind of ballpark it and then put the hexes on, or to keep the scaling the way that you want? How does that work?
Well, for this one, it's actually based on a historical map, so I had to do a lot of. There's a lot more bleed into hexes sometimes. I adjusted it as best as I could, but yeah, normally I have the board template with the hex grid on it. So when I create my artwork, I normally create the artwork according to the hexes, like the roads run down the hexes and stuff like that, hedges and stone walls along the hex edges. And so yeah, but this was a historical map, so I had to do a lot more fudging.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I've seen just a few of our other games like in progress of the maps being developed, and I mean, it sounds like a similar strategy, but there can be some variation between the different artists for sure.
Yeah, whereas a random map, like a normal map, I get a lot more leeway to put things where I want them, stuff like that. The airborne map was based on a historical map too, so it's got a lot more. It's got some fudging in it as well.
Awesome. So for those of you who don't know what Airborne is, it is the expansion to Old School Tactical Volume 2, and we do have those in stock. So what I want to do now is move on to the section of the interview that I know a lot of people are excited about, Old School Tactical Volume 5. I basically have a shelf in my house that is just Old School Tactical, so it's just going to be expanding. So tell us a little bit about Old School Tactical Volume 5. What is the setting? All of those things.
Well, the setting's early war. It's been on kind of the back burner since the start. Like I kind of wanted to do like all the games have come out with like two maps. Like so this one's going to be the main map will be France 1940, and then the second map will be Poland 1939. So I kind of wanted to get all those like the early battles of the war in, because it's a lot different type of units. Like you don't have the big tanks blasting away with big guns. It's all a lot of machine guns, faster moving units, stuff like that. Yeah, so there's some of the maps. That's the that's the France map. It's got a lot of bocage on it. So if you've got volume 2 and you know the bocage rules, and it's a lot of bocage, there's a lot of along the roads and stuff like that. Woods, farms, brush, but there's a lot of just a lot of cool spots on that map for designing scenarios. I put some together, and it's a lot of cool little sections with line of sight and defensive areas and stuff like that. So should be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It took me a long time to realize that it's bocage. I called it bocage for a long time. And I think my dad did too. I don't know. Maybe it's not a term Americans use a lot. So yeah, so Poland, right?
Yeah, that's Poland. It's got railway line, village, and it's got some swamp, wheat fields, brush, woods. It's a lot more open than the France map. That's kind of the way a lot of Poland was. So So it'll be pretty neat too. I've got some cool units. I've actually designed like a armored train counter to use on that railway line, so it should be pretty neat.
What? So it's only going to be on the
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's just one counter, but they did use them in the invasion of Poland, so it should be pretty cool to try out.
That's so cool. That brings me to my question. I mean, I was going to ask you, what units are you most excited about for this game?
There's a lot of neat ones. The thing is, there's a lot of fast-moving units, but they're only armed with machine guns. And some of the new things is like the Germans have motorcycle troops, so they have like a movement of 8. So they're basically soft units, but they got a lot of range for moving. And then one of the ones, the Polish have the cavalry, of course. So everybody always knows about the cavalry. So I got to come up with I've got a few ideas how I'm going to implement like cavalry charges and stuff like that. But they get to move a fair amount as well. But they're more vulnerable when they're riding their horses, of course. So I've got a few pics of the various units I put together. So if you want to look at those.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to share them now, you're welcome to share your screen.
Okay.
Yeah, so for those of you who are watching right now, the Old School Tactical Volume 5 is going to be a game going to Kickstarter, or I'll just say crowdfunding in 2025. And this will be one of our games that comes out next year. I think whenever Shayne he's got a lot he's doing, but whenever he's got some cover art done for us, I think we will be putting it up on the website, and I will make sure to make everybody aware when that's out so you can read more about it and look more into it, because it's really exciting just hearing you talk about it.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun to play too. I'm
Yeah.
just starting this week with starting the play testing and stuff like that. I just got my maps from the printers the other day. So.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'll be starting tomorrow with the play testing.
So do you have like a collective of people that you play test with, or do you play test alone mostly?
No, I play with a couple people. I find mostly it's best face to face for testing.
All right, so I think we've got the Polish right here.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Is that? Oh, there's the train on the.
Yeah, the train's on the bottom right. And it's got a couple tankettes. There's a cavalry unit there. AT rifle. Yeah, a lot of light tanks and armored cars and stuff like that in this early game.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. My sister's fiance's name is Kosmicki, and that's what I thought was for a second. Yeah.
I don't think I can fit that on a counter.
That is the problem. All right, let me pull up the French. Let me see. Awesome.
Okay, yeah, the French got some cool tanks. They're heavier armored, and they're actually better than a lot of the early German tanks. But their main problem was they had like small turrets where the tank commander had to do everything by himself, like a one-man turret. So the to hit numbers are worse for the French. And the thing that's cool about the French is they have so many cool camouflage patterns on their tanks, which was neat to do.
Yeah. Huh.
And I got like rifle squads and also colonial troops and AT rifles again. And
nice. Yeah, those look awesome. I can see like some of the camouflage, different patterns. That's awesome. And so you said you've upgraded your program since the first one, right? What are you using for this now?
Yeah, now I use I have the Adobe suite. Since the after the first game, I upgraded to all Adobe software now. So I I used to do everything in Photoshop, but I've kind of do all the units, all the unit art now in Photoshop, and then I just switched over to doing the counters in Illustrator now,
Okay.
so it keeps a bit more of the detail.
Hmm.
The maps are all Photoshop, of course, because there's a lot of textures and stuff like that, a lot of hand drawn elements. So yeah.
Nice. Oh, so you draw, do you have like an iPad or something that you actually draw some of the textures on?
Yeah, I have this here. It's a Wacom tablet
Yeah.
with a stylus, so it's like a dual screen. So I just move the artwork over there, and I can draw like it. It
Kind of
works
sounds
works really well.
relaxing.
What's that?
It kind of sounds relaxing, just like because
Oh yeah, I put my feet up when I'm drawing, and I usually put a podcast on and listen to it while I'm drawing. And
nice.
it's yeah.
What podcast do you listen to?
It depends. I listen to History on the Table sometimes. I like Ardwolf's channel. I listen to him a lot of the times.
Mhm.
Stuff like that. There's a lot of good stuff out there to listen to. So
Yeah, it's hard to keep
I
up.
just kind of put it on in the background and listen to it when I'm doing artwork.
Mm-hmm. So here's the Germans.
Okay, Germans got a lot of early tanks are low armor, and a lot of them can move a fair distance. The thing about the early war is that like all the sides have AT rifles, because even those can take out these tanks and stuff. They're so lightly armored, so
Mm-hmm.
everything can take out these vehicles. Nothing's super heavy at the start of the war. There's some motorcycle troops on the lower left. See, they got a movement of 8.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, a lot of these numbers and stuff will probably change with testing and stuff, but we're
Sure.
still working on some of the mechanics. And
Nice. Cool. Well, thank you so much for showing us all this stuff for behind the scenes of Old School Tactical Volume 5. I know it's going to be really successful, and I'm looking forward to it, especially that train, that armored train.
yeah, it should be cool. I read about the battle with it, and it was like they used them a lot in they had that war against Russia in 1920 or whatever, and there's a lot of armored trains they used, and they still had them at the start of the Second World War when they were invaded. So there's a couple instances where they're used. So
Nice.
they didn't last long with all the German Stukas and everything, but they did fight in a few places.
Yeah, they deserve their place in this game.
Yeah.
Even if briefly.
Mm.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shayne, for doing this.
No problem.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to plug before we sign off?
Not that I can think of. I'm just keeping busy with artwork and game design, stuff like that. So
nice. I couldn't believe you had those maps done. Like, I feel like people are still excited about OSTV4 getting that out. And then like you sent me the 2 maps for Volume 5, and I was like, wow, this guy is like prolific.
Well, that's one of my favorite parts, is getting the maps done and designed and stuff. So like I kind of need them to get into the testing and stuff. So
Yeah,
that's
well,
one of the first things I like getting done. Yeah.
That's something I've noticed with just designing war games or versus like other types of games. It's just like every scenario is like its own, I don't want to say its own game, but it kind of is. And so like not only are the systems being used for like hex and counter wargaming like dense, or they can be, and just rich, and I don't want to say complicated, but they have a lot of rules. It's like every scenario has to be, I mean, it's just really crazy. It's just a lot of work to get that going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Shayne.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.